Before we begin, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Terror Stories. Your support helps us continue crafting spine-chilling horror tales every week. Let us know in the comments if you dare to cross the river alone at night. There's a river deep in the woods, forgotten by maps and avoided by the locals. They whisper of shadows that move without light, voices that echo with no source, and the cursed souls who dared to cross its rotting bridge. Tonight we tell the story of one man who ignored the warnings. He thought the river was just water, but what waited on the other side was something else entirely. This is Don't Cross the River. The village of Black Hollow was the kind of place you wouldn't find on any modern map. It sat quietly in a secluded valley, hemmed in by a dense forest and a river so dark and motionless it looked like oil. No birds flew overhead. No cars passed through. It was the kind of place the world had forgotten, and where the people wanted to be forgotten. Eric Morgan arrived with a camera slung over his shoulder and the arrogance of a man who didn't believe in curses. He was a documentary filmmaker, known for chasing ghost stories, urban legends, and small-town superstitions across the country. Black Hollow was a recent discovery, unmentioned in guidebooks, but whispered about in folklore forums. The main thread was always the same. Don't cross the river. He parked his truck at the edge of the village. The buildings looked tired, sagging under the weight of decades. Curtains twitched as he passed. People stared from porches without waving. Eric tried to ask a teenager for directions and got nothing but a blank look before the boy walked away. Finally, he stopped an old man outside the general store. "Hi," Eric said. "I'm doing a piece on rural folklore. I heard there's something unusual about the river?" The man didn't meet his eyes. "You're not from here." "Number." "But I'm curious." The man licked his cracked lips, then leaned in, voice low. "Then listen well. Don't cross the river. Not now. Not ever." Eric blinked. "Why not?" The man stepped back. "Because those who do, don't come back." That night, Eric checked into the village's only inn. It had 5 rooms, all empty. Mora, the old woman who ran it, seemed reluctant to talk. She brought him lukewarm stew and a key but said little else. Later, he tried again. "What's the story with the river?" Mora stood still for a long time before she finally spoke. "You want a story? Here's one. In 1948, there was a town called South Rucklin on the other side of that river. One night, everyone in it disappeared. Over 60 people. Gone. No fire. No bodies. No sign of struggle, just vanished. What happened? They said something came from the woods. People talked about black shapes, voices in their heads, madness. Then silence. The survivors, only 2 children, babbling nonsense, were found wandering in the forest days later. The rest were never found. So we burned the bridge, tore it down and never rebuilt it. The river was our line in the sand." "Have you ever crossed?" Mora shook her head slowly. "No one living has. And those who did, don't stay right. If they come back different." Eric couldn't sleep. The story hooked into him, deep and sharp. By morning, his mind was made up. Warnings were made to be ignored. Just before noon, he packed his gear and found an old ferry dock half hidden under vines. A moss-covered rowboat rested in the water, tethered by a single frayed rope. It didn't look safe, but it would have to do. The crossing felt unnatural. The moment he pushed off, the wind died. The world went quiet. The oars sliced through the black water without a sound. Even the sky dimmed, as if the clouds were watching him. Halfway across, Eric paused to film. Through the lens, the river looked bottomless. Then his camera glitched, a brief static flash, and in the corner of the frame, something moved. Something tall and thin, just at the edge of the trees. He turned, but saw nothing. The boat bumped the opposite shore. He stepped onto the bank, and immediately, something felt wrong. The forest was twisted, the trees unnaturally tall and gnarled. Their trunks looked burned and scarred, as though they'd once been alive in a different way. The air smelled of copper and damp rot. He hiked through the overgrowth until he found it, what remained of South Rucklin. It wasn't destroyed. It was abandoned. Houses stood intact, doors ajar, chairs on porches, toys in yards. But no people, no animals. Nothing moved. He filmed everything. Inside an old church, he found claw marks across the altar. A journal, half decayed, sat near the pulpit. He flipped through. They come from the woods. Not human. Not beast. Not dead. They watch when the moon rises. They whisper through glass. The river is no longer enough. The sun began to sink too quickly. As dusk swallowed the town, Eric turned to leave, but the path he came in on was gone. The forest had thickened behind him. The river. Nowhere to be seen. Then came the whispers. At first, they were soft, like wind. Then they sharpened. Eric, turn around. Stay with us. He spun, heart thundering. The shadows between the trees moved. Not animals. Not people. They were tall and lean, with limbs too long and faces that rippled like water. He ran. Buildings flashed past him. Old homes, a broken schoolhouse, a rusted playground. He ducked into a farmhouse, barricading the door. Inside, he found remnants of life. A family's photos, dishes in the sink, a child's blanket on the floor. He set his camera down and played back the footage. His stomach turned. In every frame he'd filmed, the black figures were there, just out of sight. In windows, reflections, shadows that didn't belong. Watching. Then something knocked from inside the walls. He spun, flashlight trembling. The knocking grew louder, from the floor, from the ceiling. He climbed into the attic. That's when he saw them. Dozens of people stood motionless in the dark. Men, women, children, faces frozen in blank stares, silent, still, dust on their shoulders. Then one moved. A woman stepped forward, eyes wide, skin pale as bone. "You crossed," she said. "Now you belong." He backed away. Another voice joined, then another, until they were all whispering. "Stay, stay, stay." Then silence. From behind them a little girl emerged. Black hair, blue dress, bare feet. She looked up at Eric with glassy eyes. "I built the first bridge," she said. "They made me, so they could come over. But they lied. Now the bridge is gone, but they don't need it. Not anymore." Eric asked, "What are they?" She tilted her head. "Not ghosts, not demons, shadows of thoughts, hungry for stories. When you film them, when you talk about them, you feed them." He shivered. "How do I get out?" "There's one way, but you won't like it." She led him back to the church. The altar was wet. Blood pooled at its base. "They want something you love, a sacrifice, or they keep you. Forever." "I don't have anyone," Eric said. "You have the story, the footage, your truth." His hands trembled. "You mean delete it?" She nodded. "Erase it all. Deny it. Or they'll use your story to reach others. That's what they really want, to spread." The whispers surged again. The figures gathered outside. Eric looked down at the camera. Hours of footage. His next big break. He dropped it to the floor and stomped hard again and again until the screen cracked and the lens shattered. He pulled the memory cards and snapped them. The church fell silent. He blinked, and the world went white. When he opened his eyes, he was lying in the rowboat, drifting gently toward the Black Hollow dock. The sun was rising. He stood, numb and confused. The villagers were out, watching him. No one spoke. He returned to the inn, packed silently, and drove away without another word. Weeks passed. He said nothing about the trip, told no one. He couldn't bring himself to talk about it. But Eric had forgotten one thing. His camera had been set to automatically upload footage to a cloud server. A backup. One video surfaced online. A still shot of the river, fog curling over the surface. No movement, no sound. until the last 3 seconds when a voice whispers, "Cross." Since then, people have gone missing. Not from the real world, but from online. Comments vanish. Profiles go dark. Viewers stare too long into the frame and never come back. And in a little village called Black Hollow, the river waits. Always waiting.